Just a minute. So the main teaching of Gita is the removal of samsara, or in other words, in positive words, we can say it is moksha. Getting moksha is equal to removal of samsara or the suffering. Okay. So this is the understanding of samsara moksha. And if you see anything that we do in life, we are actively avoiding pain and always trying to move towards happiness. Whatever we do, whether it is a simple thing like taking medicine, or whether it is a big thing like a job promotion, whatever we do, we are trying to avoid pain and suffering. We are trying to get happiness and bliss. Right? So basically, the whole effort is avoiding samsara and moving towards moksha. Every time we are trying to run away from suffering and run towards happiness. This is the whole effort of life. And this Gita identifies and offers the solution of moksha. Now, a question will come. What is moksha? This is a simplistic understanding, freedom from samsara, freedom from suffering. But what does it mean actually? Why bother with moksha? Why should we, aim for moksha? Why does anyone want to tell me why we want moksha? You can unmute and talk.
Because we want permanent happiness, permanent joy.
Yes, because we want permanent happiness, permanent joy, and because nobody wants pain or suffering, right? Anybody wants, can you think of anybody who will say that I want pain, I want to suffer? Nobody says that. They all want happiness only. And this permanent happiness is moksha. Now, here I'll just briefly tell you about 5 points of what moksha encompasses. The first is moksha gives satisfaction at an intellectual level. For the intellectual curiosity, there is a deep sense of satisfaction because the study of Gita, and which results in moksha, is brought about by the knowledge of the world, of God, and by myself. We have a lot of curiosity, right? We have a lot of questions about the world, about, why is it like this? Why am I here? Why am I suffering? Who is God? What does God do? So 3 categories of questions. Questions about the world, questions about God, and most important, questions about myself. Who am I? And Gita answers these questions and so satisfies our intellectual curiosity. Then, from this satisfaction is born a kind of happiness, a knowledge-born happiness. Now, this is a very special kind of happiness because nobody can take away this happiness from you. Usually, when we get happiness, it is from some external object. I got something and then I got happy. But if that object goes away, then happiness also goes. So, do you see the problem? That is problematic. When you associate happiness with an external object, it is subject to arrival and departure, and that becomes problematic. But here, this is a very special kind of happiness that is born with the knowledge, with this self-knowledge that I get, which doesn't go away. And the happiness is a permanent happiness. The problem of this object happiness is it comes and goes, but the benefit of this knowledge happiness is that it permanently stays. And so I am permanently happy. The result of being permanently happy is that I am now free from desperation. Desperation means addiction to objects, craving for objects. All these days, We seek objects because we think that object will make me happy. So if I don't get the object, I will not be happy. But now if you have your own happiness, what is the use of that object? You will use it. You may be happy with it, but you do not depend on it for your happiness. So there is a non-dependence, or we can say independence. So it is not only permanent happiness, it is now independent happiness. And there is no more craving or obsession with objects of the world. So a simple example to understand this, when your phone is running out of battery, then you run around everywhere searching for a charger, searching for a plug point. If you're outside somewhere and you're running around everywhere searching to charge your phone. But suppose now you have the portable charger, the power bank. Do you run around searching everywhere to charge the phone? No, right? Because you have your own supply of power. In the same way, here you have your own supply of happiness. And so there is no more need to run around searching desperately in the world for happiness. So now you are independently happy. The fourth benefit is that with this study, with this moksha, there is freedom from shock or trauma. There are many events in the world that happen which shock us, which traumatize us, right? Especially the loss of a loved one or separation or other traumatic events. So whenever these things happen, we get traumatized, we get hurt, right? There is a psychological impact. But now, because of this knowledge, because of this moksha, there is a protection against these things. It is not that the events of the world will stop, the world continues, but the impact it has on me is not so much. I am not traumatized by the events of the world. So now the happiness that was permanent happiness, independent happiness, now it becomes unshakable happiness, unwavering happiness. Okay, so there is a shock absorber that is created, a psychological shock absorber, which doesn't let me be traumatized. And as a result of all of this, I become very efficient in whatever I do. I am not working for happiness, I am working out of happiness. And so whatever I do will be very efficient, very complete, very systematic. I will not compromise the work, and nor will I suffer as I work. Because now, because I already have happiness, I enjoy the work and I work out of fulfillment, not to gain fulfillment. So these are the benefits of moksha, of having this knowledge. So the connection is, once you have the knowledge of Gita, then moksha comes. Okay, so getting the knowledge is as good as getting moksha. So once I get this knowledge or this moksha, I get all these benefits. Now, the next point, I want to just show you this little chart here. So do you see there is a bar, and on the left side, which is red, we have samsara, and on the right, green, there is moksha. So the journey has to be from samsara towards moksha. And we have to work for it. Now, why work for it? Because if you go deeper into the samsara side, there is more pain and suffering. But if you move towards the moksha side, there is freedom from suffering. There is happiness. Right? There's a choice here, happiness or suffering. It's your choice, right? And most people, obviously, we want happiness. So move towards the moksha side. Now, another problem with this samsara side is that there is a magnification and multiplication of even small problems. Magnification means what? It is actually a small problem, but in your mind, it is very big. And so even though it is a small problem, you are suffering more. So the more you go towards samsara side, the more the suffering comes. Even if the problem is very small, it's a magnified problem in your eyes. And not only that, there is multiplication of the problems. Means what? That one problem is there, and because now there is anxiety and stress, and you've made the problem very big in your mind, you make a wrong decision. Now, before there was one problem, now because of the wrong decision, two problems. And like this, it goes on, multiplying. Each decision, each action we take seems to only compound the problem, makes it worse. And so the suffering only increases. So to go towards the samsara side is to increase the pain and the suffering. And to go towards moksha side, there is total protection or buffer, even if the problem is there. Okay, so one thing we have to remember is that Bhagavad Gita does not promise that your life will become problem-free. It is not that problems will magically vanish. No, that doesn't happen for anybody. But even if the problem is there, now you know how to handle that problem. So Bhagavad Gita gives you the strength to face the problem, to handle the problem, and to not be impacted by the problem. So there is protection from any kind of problem, whatever it is, whether financial problems, relationship problems, health problems, anything. Now you have the strength to face it. Now you are not affected by that problem anymore. So that is the moksha side. Now, what about this yellow part in the middle? So this yellow-green part is there, right? So there, the people are handling the problem. They're able to figure out some solutions. They're working on it. And sometimes they may even fix the problem. They do something and the problem gets fixed. But what is the issue there is that the problem comes back. It is only a temporary solution. So you may fix the problem today, but tomorrow another problem, new problem has come. Day after tomorrow, one more, new problem. And so you have to go on fixing. If you stay in the yellow part, there is only repetition. You have to go on fixing. But when you come to the moksha side, the green side, then permanent solution, you don't have to fix again, because this is the one solution that requires no further solutions. It is a permanent, total fix of all problems. Okay, so this is a simplistic view of samsara and moksha. Now, let us answer the question, how can Gita be therapy? Is it therapy? Can it be? First, let's understand what is therapy. What is therapy? Therapy is any treatment or any means that we use to heal a disorder. So if we just loosen the meaning, if we broaden the meaning a little bit, we can say therapy is the journey towards physical and psychological well-being. Therapy is the journey to well-being, right? Now in this chart, this little scale, which side is the journey towards well-being? You tell me.
Samsara to moksha.
Towards moksha, right? The more you go towards moksha, the more well-being there is, right? So now do you see the connection that how it can be therapy, right? So if we ask the question, does Bhagavad Gita have answers for physical diseases, physical problems? Not directly. Okay, so if you go searching for physical ailments or prescriptions, medicines, you will not find those kind of answers in Bhagavad Gita. There are other texts for that, but here not really. But what Bhagavad Gita does answer is more of a psychological solution. It is more about the mind. Now, at one level, we know that the mind, whatever happens in the mind, affects the body. We know that stress has an impact on the body, right? And so this attitude adjustment, the Gita helps with. So this psychological remedy, psychological therapy, the Gita does quite well in a lot of various places in different ways it is done. But the most important thing the Gita does and the main teaching is moksha. And this moksha is the ultimate therapy. Moksha is ultimate therapy. Bhagavad Gita offers some side psychological therapies. We will only look at them as side benefits. But the main offering is moksha, which is the ultimate therapy. Why is it the ultimate therapy? Because number one, it is permanent. Once there is moksha, no other solution, no other remedy is needed. So it is the therapy which puts an end to all therapies. So that is why it is the ultimate therapy. And it is a permanent therapy. Means problems will not recur. With every other therapy, there is a limitation, which is what? You may fix this problem, but tomorrow there might be a new problem. Right? So with moksha, it is a permanent ultimate therapy because no further problems will come. And this is the end of all those therapies. Okay, so this is the journey from samsara towards moksha. And this is what Bhagavad Gita supports us with. Now, again, I will repeat, it is not that Gita makes the life problem free or makes all your existing problems vanish. It is just that you will be able to handle it. It makes you strong psychologically. Okay, so this we have to always remember. So the teaching gives me strength. All right, now I will show you an example of how it all works. So you all have heard of about diet and nutrition. Okay, so we are all very diet conscious people these days, right? If you go on YouTube and you search, you will find so many dietary advice, guidance, suggestions, right? And different doctors will tell you different things. Now you tell me, why is diet and nutrition so important? Just give me a list of all the reasons why diet is important.
Ma'am, as they say, as the food, so the mind, as the mind, so the man. So I think our diet makes our personality, it brings out our characteristics. And in fact, our characteristics also represent the kind of diet that we eat. So I think that is why diet is very important. To be aware of what kind of food I eat also represents the kind of person that I am. The prominent guna in me is reflected through my food.
Okay, so you are saying there is psychological impact on the kind of food
Impact. Yes.
Okay. What else? What else? Anything else?
Yes, yes. मुझे कुछ बोलना है. डाइट 3 टाइप्स का होता है, सात्विक, राजस और तामस. और जिस टाइप का हम डाइट करते हैं माइंड के ऊपर उसका वो उस टाइप से इफेक्ट होता है और उसका बॉडी पर इफेक्ट होता है. तो इसलिए डाइट सात्विक, राजस और तामस इन 3 टाइप में आता है. और सात्विक डाइट यदि होता है तो डिसीजेस कम होते हैं और राजस और तामस होता है तो उससे रिलेटेड डिसीजेस भी बॉडी में होते हैं.
Yes.
हाँ, तो इसलिए डाइट इम्पोर्टेंट है.
Okay, so psychological and also health, lot of health benefits. Anything else?
Yes, I want to tell you. अन्न ही पूर्ण ब्रह्म कहा है, इसलिए अन्न बहुत इम्पोर्टेंट है. और दूसरा, आयुर्वेद में ऐसे कहा है कि हम अगर पथ्यकर आहार ले रहे हैं तो आपको कुछ औषधि की जरूरत नहीं है. और अगर आप पथ्यकर आहार नहीं ले रहे हैं तो औषधि लेके भी आपको कुछ फायदा नहीं होगा. दैट इज द इम्पोर्टेंस ऑफ आहार.
Okay, health.
मैम,
Yes.
मैं एक दिल्ली एम्स में वर्क करती हूँ, लेकिन मैंने ये देखी हूँ कि एलोपैथी में जस्ट वो कैलकुलेट द कैलोरीज एंड न्यूट्रिशन बेस पे जस्ट कैलकुलेट करते हैं. दे नॉट थिंक हाउ दैट गेट डाइजेस्ट. जस्ट ये प्रॉब्लम है तो इतनी कैलोरी खा लो, इतने ये खा लो, प्रोटीन वो खा लो, लेकिन एक्चुअली उस पेशेंट्स को गैस्ट्रिक प्रॉब्लम्स और इंक्रीज हो जाती है, क्योंकि दे नॉट थिंक अकॉर्डिंग कैसे उसको डाइजेस्ट होगा, उसका स्वभाव ऐसा कुछ नहीं सोचते हैं। तो मुझे लगता है जो हमारा ट्रेडिशनल थॉट्स जो कुछ लिखे हैं हमारे पुराने साइंटिस्ट ने, दैट इज वेरी वेरी वैल्यूएबल and important.
Okay, so again you are telling about health and also digestion. So yeah, most of you pointed out we take care of diet because we are very health conscious. Physical health also and mental health also, both, because the food we eat impacts body also and mind also, right? Food has this impact. So basically what you consume has an impact on you. Now, the tongue is only one sense organ. There are 4 other sense organs: the eyes, the ears, the skin, and the nose. 4 more sense organs are there. Do we care that much about what we consume with those sense organs? So you all just spoke a lot about diet, which is the organ of taste, mouth, tongue. But do we care so much about the eyes or the ears? What we consume with eyes or ears? Is there anybody talking about this so much?
यस मैडम, मुझे जो भी देखना पसंद नहीं होता है, मैं सीरियल नहीं देखती हूँ। जो न्यूज मुझे अच्छे नहीं लगते हैं, अननेसेसरी न्यूज मैं नहीं देखती हूँ। जो मुझे अच्छा लगता है मैं सुनना भी वही पसंद करती हूँ और देखना भी वही पसंद करती हूँ। मैं मूवी भी 3 घंटा नहीं देखती हूँ, क्योंकि किसी के थॉट्स है वो मूवी में डाले हैं और उन्होंने पिक्चराइज किया है, तो आई कैन नॉट सी इट, और मैं नहीं देखती हूँ। तो आई कंट्रोल अप टू सम एक्सटेंट।
One minute. Yes. So eyes and ears, we will not talk so much about nose and
in the second chapter, madam, there is a slok: ध्येतो विषयास पुस्तक संगत तैसी उपजायते, संगात सज्जायते, कामात कामात क्रोधोपजायते. It explains all these things.
yes.
Because subjects are रूप रस गंध शब्द स्पर्श.
Yes, I'm coming to that.
Yeah.
Usually most people care about diet, the food, a lot, but very few people care about what they consume with other sense organs: the eyes and the ears. The skin and the nose we will not take so much, but these are the primary 2. Why should we care about these 2? Because they are the gateway to the mind, the door to the mind. And if you just let anything inside, it has the potential to cause disturbance inside the mind. It has the potential to damage the mind. So things like watching horror movies, watching very disturbing news, all these negative things we see on the media these days, a lot of people say, nothing is happening, I don't feel anything, I'll still watch it. But it's not true, because it is all going inside the mind. And it is having an impact somewhere, even if we don't know right now. So it has a damaging effect on the psyche, what we put inside. Okay. So as Mr. Kantalalji pointed out, in second chapter, 62nd verse, Krishna points out this same thing. And there is a shloka, it says, Dhyayato Vishayan Pumsaha Sangasteshu Pajayate Sangat Sanjayate Kamaha Kamat Krodho Bhijayate. So in this shloka and the next shloka, Krishna describes the 8 steps to destruction, the 8-step ladder to human downfall. And where does it all start? It starts with sensory consumption. What you consume with your sense organs, where you allow your eyes and ears to go. So it starts there. So simple thing, you're walking somewhere and then you see a car showroom and there is a brand new car there. Now what happens? You have just picked it up with your eyes. At this moment, nothing happens. You have just seen it with your eyes. But what happens? Now there is a sense of attachment to this car, to the idea of having this car. So there is a sense of, oh, won't I look nice sitting in this car? Maybe I should have this car. So some sense of attachment comes on this car. And once this attachment comes, a desire is born to possess that car. So in the attachment stage, you just imagine, what if I'm sitting in the car? In the desire stage, there is an active feeling, I want to buy that car. Now, this is also still fine, it's okay. The problem comes at the next step. Desire has two products, two, we can say two children. The first child is when the desire is fulfilled. Suppose the desire is fulfilled, the desire comes true. Is that the end? No, the next desire comes. Suppose you fulfill that, again next desire, again next. So it goes on coming. So what is born out of fulfilling desire is greed. We call this lobha. So lobha, the greed, is born out of desire getting fulfilled. And if desire doesn't get fulfilled, this is the second child, then anger is born. So what we call anger is just obstructed desire. Anger is nothing but obstructed desire. A desire that couldn't happen, that comes out as anger. Now till here, if you notice the verse, Krishna is using the word jayate. Jayate means is born. So till here, you have some amount of control. Till this point, you can actually somehow manage to stop it. This whole cycle, you have control, you can try and stop it. But the next verse, the next 4 steps, there is no more control. It all spirals very fast out of control. And the next things just happen. You cannot stop it. Even if you want to stop, it is very difficult. It is not possible to stop these next steps. So the next verse says, Krodhat bhavati sammohaha, sammohat smriti vibhramaha, smriti bhramshat buddhinashaha, buddhinashat pranashyati. So from anger, what is born is delusion, moha. Moha means the confusion between what is correct and what is wrong. So when the person is deluded, he sees the correct thing as the wrong thing and the wrong thing as the correct thing. There is confusion between dharma and adharma. If he doesn't know, he cannot see what is correct about it, which is correct. And this leads to loss of memory. You forget what you knew also now is forgotten. So there is anger. From anger, delusion has come. Now in the face of this delusion, there is loss of memory. All your previous knowledge, even the good knowledge, the correct knowledge, all that is forgotten. And when this happens, there is a destruction of the rational thinking. There is no more intellectual thinking. So we cannot make correct decisions when in a deluded state. And the 8th and final step is the destruction of the human nature. Now, what does that mean? Pranashyati, to fall from the human nature. The difference between us, human beings, and animals is that we are thinking creatures. We are intellectual creatures, right? We think, we have a very advanced intellect, we are very rational, we can make sensible decisions. But the animals don't have all that. They just, whatever their instinct is, whatever their emotion says, only that they do. And if we lose that intellectual part, that is the essence of what makes us a human being. This advanced intellect we have, this is the gift that only human beings have. And if you lose this gift, then you are no different from an animal. So the person who does not think, who does not intellectually use the rational faculty, such a person is as good as an animal. And that is what pranashyati means, that this human nature is lost. And if this person goes on repeating this cycle, all these 8 steps, eventually he will ruin his whole life. He will ruin his finances, his relationships, his jobs, career, and he may even ruin his own health and life also. Right? So there is a danger to life itself in such a situation. And if you see from this verse onwards, Krishna is not using the word Jayate, he is using the word Bhavati. If you see, he has used Krodad Bhavati. Means from this point on, the cycle is very difficult to stop. It is not going to be easy. Till the previous stage, till up to even anger, you can somehow stop it or control it. But from this point on, it's just too very.
Please show the previous chart.
Okay. From this point on, it is going to be a downhill journey. There is no stopping it. Okay. So these are the 8 steps of the human form. And where did it all begin? With number 1, sensory consumption. What we do with our sense organs. That is where it all began. Now, what is the solution to this? There must be some solution, no? Because Bhagavad Gita is supposed to have the answer. If Krishna just simply presents the problem and then says, okay, tata, bye-bye, what is the use of Bhagavad Gita? He must also give some solution, right? So till now, he has very nicely discussed the pathology of anger and the pathology of all these human emotions that cause the destruction of the human being. And in the next few verses, he gives the solution also. And the simple version of all this is that we need sensory restraint. We need to restrain the sense organs. Because if the problem started at sensory consumption, then the solution is in sensory restraint. Right? Now we have to understand one thing, that when it comes to the sense organs, we cannot shut it off. We cannot simply switch it off. Right? Nor can you somehow suppress it. We cannot live with our eyes closed and ears closed the whole life, right? We all live with other people. We have jobs, we have responsibilities. You have to interact with the world. You have to transact. And you cannot transact if you just keep your sense organs closed. So closing them, shutting it off is not an option. Running away is also not an option. Right? We cannot leave everything and simply say, I will go to Himalayas and live there. So recently I heard somebody say that, even if you want to go to the Himalayas and find a cave and say, I will live in the cave, apparently all the caves are full. A lot of people have already gone and the caves are full. If you find an empty cave and you go sit inside, then what will happen? Some mosquito will come, insect will come. So even in the cave, you cannot run away from the sense organs. Wherever you go, it will come and the sensory input will definitely come. So running away or closing them, these are not options. They are not valid or feasible options. So then what to do? What to do is intelligent redirection of the sensory organs. We can choose what we put to the sense organs. It may not be possible to shut everything. You closing your eyes and sitting like that forever is not an option. Because whatever is in front of your eyes, the eyes will see. There is no choice about seeing. But what you see, there is a choice. The act of seeing, no choice. But what you see, there is a choice. So we can choose to watch good movies, pleasant movies, instead of watching disturbing news. We can choose to listen to pleasant music instead of disturbing noise or music. Right? We can choose to eat healthy food instead of eating junk food. Eating is not an option, but what you eat, there is a choice there. And so we have to exercise this choice and intelligently redirect the sense organs. Now, an example for this is, if there is a river, what do? We put a dam on the river. You cannot allow the water to go to waste. But if you put a dam on the river, can you permanently collect the water on one side? No, it will cause a flood. So it is a dangerous thing to only suppress. So what do? They build a dam and they also build these canals, the channels, and they distribute the water very intelligently to all the nearby areas. So the water, instead of getting wasted or instead of causing a flood, is now being used very intelligently for productive purposes. The same thing we have to do with our sense organs. We have to train them to only consume proper things, conducive things. Now, how do we train it? Through discipline. Now, discipline, it is easier said than done. It's very easy to say, oh, discipline your sense organs. But how to train, how to, bring discipline to our lives? We have to remember and recognize that true behavioral change only comes with cognitive change. True behavioral change only comes with cognitive change. Means you can only change your behavior or your habits when you correctly understand. Without understanding, if you try to cultivate a new action, it will not last. Only when you understand fully and correctly, you can change your behavior, and it will be a real change. It will be a change that will stick. But if you change without understanding, it will not stick. Just few days, then it is gone. So this cognitive change, we have to understand, where am I, where I want to go, what is the consequence of doing something or not doing something. See, for example, this sensory consumption. If I don't understand the full logic behind it, and if I simply just tell somebody, control your senses, manage your senses, they will not follow. But now that you know that, okay, if I consume the wrong things, it has an effect on my psyche, on my health, on my mental and emotional well-being. It has an impact on all these things. It takes me away from moksha and towards samsara. Once you clearly understand this, then this becomes the foundation for your further behavioral changes. This understanding is the foundation for anything you want to achieve. And so that is why there's a quote that says, discipline is choosing what you want now and what you want most. So there is a choice. And only when you understand clearly, then you can make the correct choice. Otherwise, we will just keep lapsing into temptation. And so Bhagavad Gita gives you that clarity and takes you to that destination. Bhagavad Gita teaches you in detail about what is this and what is that, and why it is correct to choose the correct thing. If you simply tell a child, do this, it's correct, they may not follow. But if you tell the child, you do this thing, it is the correct thing because it helps you in this way, then they are more likely to do it. So that clarity of all these things is given by Bhagavad Gita. And it takes us to that destination being moksha. And we already saw what are the benefits of moksha. We already saw that moksha is the opposite of samsara. It is a pain-free life. It is a suffering-free life. All right. So with this, I'll stop here. And if you have any questions or anything you want to discuss.
Thanks, madam. It is excellent, madam.
Medha ji, just tell among all the chapter, which is your favorite chapter of Bhagavad Gita?
I think second.
Second.
Yeah.
Okay.
Second, it is a summary of everything. There is a whole the summary of the entire Gita. So Gita itself is summary of Upanishads. But second chapter is summary of Gita. So everything is put in a very nice condensed way in the second chapter.
When you attain the level of the moksha, does it amount to Sthita Prajna as per the second chapter?
Yes, Sthita Prajna and Moksha are, the person who has Moksha is called Sthita Prajna.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you, Medha ji, for a wonderful insight in short session of Bhagavad Gita. It has given enough curiosity in everyone's mind that we should study about the scriptures, not only the verbal study, but intellectual study. Okay. Friends, happy to announce that Medha ji is going to take Bhagavad Gita as a therapy in the therapy course. So you can, if you wish, you can also join part of the course, that is only Bhagavad Gita sessions, or you can join the full course. The choice is yours. So with this, we will end up here. Thank you for joining us. Tomorrow, please join tomorrow at 7:30 p.m. for the session of Yoga Therapy Neurological Condition by Dr. Natarajan. Okay, thank you, Medha ji, once again. Good night, all of you. See you tomorrow evening at 7:30. Om Namah Shivaya. Thank you.
Very good lecture. Hope you have more lectures on the concepts of Bhagavad Gita.
Yes. Full therapy course, we have the series of lectures on Bhagavad Gita. Okay, then good night, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am. It was a great session.
Thank you.